Today we're making a pot roast in the slow cooker. Let's go over the ingredients list. I have a 3.5 pound chuck roast, pepper and salt. I'll need 2 tablespoons of olive oil or whatever kind of oil that you use, a medium onion, 1 medium diced carrot, 1 stalk of medium diced celery, 2 minced garlic cloves. This is my sugar bowl. You need a couple of teaspoons of sugar. This is my homemade chicken broth, and I'm going to use 2 cups of that. If you have beef broth, you can use that. You can use half and half, however you'd like to. I've got some dried thyme. You can also use fresh thyme. I've got 1/4 cup of red wine, and you also need 1.5 cups of water. My slow cooker does lots of amazing things. So to start off, I'm going to put it on sear. I'm going to salt and pepper my roast. Put a couple of tablespoons of oil in the bottom of the pot, and I'm going to sear my roast. Both sides. I like lots of pepper. So now I've got my slow cooker on sear. You can do this on the stove. It just gives the roast much more flavor. Now, you don't have to do this. You can just put it in the crock pot and go with it. Just add all the ingredients and just slow cook it. That's usually the way I do, but I'm going to follow the recipe today, which is unusual for me. Add 2 tablespoons of oil to the pot. So I'm going to add my roast to the pot. And you can hear the sizzle. And I'm going to let the meat brown somewhere between 7 and 10 minutes. Just until it's brown on all sides. You'll also want to make sure you get it on the sides. Now I've got it browned on all sides, even the edges. I'm going to put it on a plate and I'm going to cook up the vegetables. I'm going to add the onion. Carrot. And the celery. I'm going to let this brown for about 6 to 8 minutes or so. All this pre-cooking just adds a lot more flavor. If you're short on time, just throw it all in and go with it. That's usually what I do. Keep an eye on your vegetables and stir them occasionally. Everything's been nicely sauteed. Now I'm going to add my garlic. And I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of sugar. This will just add some additional flavor to the meal. And some sweetness to the vegetables. Now I'm going to add 2 cups of my chicken broth, my homemade chicken broth. I made this before I made my slow cooker chicken noodle soup. The recipe for my chicken noodle soup is linked above. Now I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. I'm going to scrape up the bottom of the pan with a wooden spoon. That gets all the brown bits off the bottom. I call that the fond. Not the fawns, but the fond. Next thing, I'm going to add my roast back to the pot. Now I'm going to add just enough water to come up halfway on the roast. I'm going to set my slow cooker to high, and that will give me 5 hours. If I was home, I would turn this roast over at least once during this cooking time. But I'm not going to be here, so I'll turn it over when I get back. So I'll see you later. Welcome back. The day has passed. It's 5:30. In order for me to get dinner on the table at 6, because dinner's at 6, I need to get started on my pot roast. It's all done. It's nice and tender. And so what I'm going to do next is remove the roast from the pot. I'm going to remove the roast from the pot, put it on a plate. I'm going to add a little of the juice for it to reabsorb. And then I'm going to make a sauce with what's left in the pot. Here's our finished roast. It's already fallen apart. I'm going to add just a little of the juice for it to reabsorb. So here's a look at our roast. So next, I'm turning my pot on to sear, which is 400 degrees. And I'm going to boil this down and reduce it until it's a cup and a half, something like that. And then I'm going to add my wine. So I'll see you in a few minutes. I also have half a bag of red potatoes, which will go fabulous with my pot roast. So I'm going to rinse these off. They're always nice and clean. And since they're organic, I don't have to peel them. So I'm just going to rinse them off and chop them up and put them on to boil. With some salt and butter, they're going to be fabulous with my pot roast. Here's the biggest one, and here's the smallest one. So all I have to do is cut them in half or in quarters, and they're good to go. My potatoes are chopped. I'm going to add some water and some butter and salt and put them on to boil. Cover your pot with a lid to make it boil faster. What little bit is left of my sauce has reduced, so I'm going to now add my wine and reduce it again. My sauce has reduced again. I'm going to add some flour. You could use cornstarch or your thickener of choice. And I'm going to thicken it up. I like a little gravy with my pot roast. Add it in a sieve, and you can get all the lumps out. Give it a taste, and then add salt and pepper to season it. Here's the finished dish. Lots of nice thick gravy on mashed potatoes with a nice pot roast falling apart and ready to be eaten. Comes right off. That's good. Dinner's ready. This is Jackie from Otherwise. And remember, dinner's at 6.